I got the Oculus Rift, the first generation when it came out, and it was great for what it was, but all the other things I wanted to use it for didn't come out until they made the next generation. So
yeah,
I think I'm going to wait for Gen 2 to come out before I get one.
Look, you're not alone. There's going to be a lot of people that are doing the same thing. But at the same time, these are such the times are different now. Like that whole like a planned obsolescence or like specific hardware being tied to certain features. I can't imagine that they're going to obsolete the first one with what they announced for the second one, because the M2 chips are already so powerful. Like the machine itself is already so powerful. You'd imagine it's going to be good for at least 2 or 3 more generations before
I agree.
different way.
Everything they're showing from it just looks like it's not going to get outdated for significant amount of time.
I mean, look, at $3,500, if it doesn't last you 4 years, 4 or 5 years, that's a problem. I mean, I've gotten 5, 6 years my most recent laptops, and back in the day, I'd have to replace them every 2 years when they were back on Intel chips. So, the thing I'm least or most disappointed at is that front-facing screen. This looks kind of awful. That's something I'd imagine they'll be able to improve.
I heard about that as well.
It just looks weird. It just looks funky. I mean, it's cool to have. I think it's better than nothing, because otherwise you look like Demolition Man. You look like some weird.
Yeah, that price point, I would hope that it mimics the computer cycle. Like you should be able to get 4 or 5 years out of it.
Yeah. I forgot the guy's name. I watched a video last night of a complete teardown. He bought one out of the box and it just started hacking into it, breaking everything, shattering everything, taking it apart. Actually, it looks like it's pretty well made, but it scratches easily. Like he was scratching it, and it scratches easily. So it's kind of like the first gen iPhones. Like nowadays, nobody really gets scratches on phones anymore. I don't see anybody with the cracked screens like we used to.
So do you?
Yeah, what was the whole Elon being Elon? I was like, I'm tuning in. I want to find out what this means.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of other news.
Let's do this segment first. Steve, what did you tell me an hour ago? Let's get Carlos's reaction to it.
All right.
We may have to get out of Tesla.
You feel? What do you feel?
I don't know. I'm conflicted. Look, the guy's an adult. He can say whatever he wants to say, but at some point, don't pick fights. I don't know. I guess that's what makes Elon, but I just feel like...
Which fight is he picking now?
Dude, he's talking about suing. Elon is going off the rails, and someone needs to calm his ass down right now. He is tweeting saying we need to start a lawsuit against Disney. He's saying LGBT QAnon, like he's picking on gay people today for some reason. He's just being insane. And the stock's down 30% year to date, dude.
Okay.
I think, look, I'm not selling out of Tesla or anything, but I talked to someone yesterday who has a lot of Tesla, who sold a lot of Tesla because he was like, he's like, Elon doesn't give a fuck about shareholders right now. And maybe he's trying to take the stock to get his 25%, whatever. But it's bad, dude. I mean, it's pretty bad. He's ranting about illegal immigrants 10 hours a day. Like, when does he have time to run the company?
And that's the point. If shares were just going down and he didn't own X, or even if he owns X, but he wasn't tweeting like this, I don't think anybody would be saying anything. But the fact that he's tweeting or Xing so much gives the impression that he is more focused on that than the companies he's running. And it's just a perception problem because we can't prove if it's true or untrue. It's just a perception problem. And I think it's bleeding into the stock at this point.
Yeah, I think it's... You guys hear me? It's low.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. It should be good now. It's that M4 box. Okay.
It's a little low. Maybe just put it closer to you. That's all.
Hold on. Let me see. It's the M4
there you go. That's
box.
perfect. That's perfect.
Let's try to switch back.
What's up, Chris?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not a bear case against Tesla. It's just weird what he's doing right now.
No, I just would love for him to take the Michael.
The thing is, if he doesn't do anything, what do you think happens? You think suddenly they stop attacking him?
I just don't know why he's picking on Disney randomly. This is not about Disney advertising on X anymore. This is just him.
If this is related to the link that I sent to everyone in the chat about Gina Carano. Gina Carano feels like that's what's starting the whole thing. That's the lawsuit that he's getting behind. Gina Carano feels like she was wrongfully let go of Disney, because she wasn't, repeating the talking points of the narrative, and she was fired from it, and it cost her a lot of money, and there was reputation destruction. She was defamed, and she was essentially outcasted. All of her current projects got terminated, and it was essentially canceled. She was essentially canceled. And so now she sent all of her information to some lawyers that felt like there is a case there to be made against Disney, and Elon, I guess, is supporting her in some way. I don't know all the details of it, but I agree with
Why does he care? Why does he care so much about this person?
Steven Stanstrom at 605. Someone should sue Disney, because at some point it's got to stop. Like, if you the question, the qualifying question of a conversation like this is, do you feel like he is being targeted right now, or do you feel like this is just business as usual, and that the news outlets are doing their due diligence and doing the right job and reporting the facts as is? That's the fundamental question, because if you believe that that's what they're doing, then yeah, Elon's going to seem absolutely crazy. But if you believe that the main company, one of the main companies that he's dedicated his entire life and a large portion of his net worth to, is under attack, with some truth in mostly baseless claims, yeah, I think I'd be pretty pissed off too. And I think at some point you just have to fight back.
Chris, your thoughts? Elon's tweeting like a guy who's doesn't have a 100, 300, $400 billion company to run right now. What do you think is going on?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the strategy behind it is. I mean, the guy's not dumb. He's definitely doing something very strategic. Maybe it's to lower Tesla stock price so that he can get a better compensation package. I don't know. The whole thing with Gina Carano, I agree with fundamentally with her in that she shouldn't have been targeted so much by, like, some of the more radical elements of certain ideologies. But that's just how the world is now. And it's unfortunate that that's what the world is like. And I think the media being completely silent on this when it did happen is a telling sign. Because right now, if you're conservative and you say something and people don't like you, they'll target you, they'll deplatform you and everything. And where's the media to stand up for you to say, hey, this is wrong. Like, you should not be doing this. Like, freedom of speech means freedom of speech. And I think right now the media companies are self-censoring themselves. I mean, you look at this thing that happened to the what is that, Jeffrey Epstein thing, where do you see that video where what's her name actually had the report that Jeffrey Epstein was this predator, and they spiked the story?
Yeah.
Because
She was she's like, we had it 5 years ago. And essentially her boss said, no, we can't run that story. And,
right.
I think what he's responding to, some of the things that he does don't make sense if you're thinking, say, short term, or you're thinking small, like, okay, he knows that he's got to know that this is going to affect the stock. But I think he's making a calculated bet saying, if I don't address some of these issues now, the problem will get so big that worrying about my particular company is going to seem like a small problem compared to what's going to happen to our society if we don't attack some of these things. Like, basically a certain ideologies and political party have essentially captured and controlled our media for the longest time. And for a while it was fine. I mean, no one considered it, but now it's reaching a point where we're looking at like totalitarian, authoritative control over what you can say and do. And that's fundamentally against, a free capitalist society. And so I think he's
let me ask you this. If Tesla goes to 90 and he keeps tweeting like this, would you be okay with it? And let's say that's the reason Tesla's going to 90. You wouldn't care? But
we've had this discussion, but to say that that's the reason, if Tesla goes down and the mainstream,
that's not the real reason. That's just
I know, but I'm saying if Elon tweets something that a lot of people get upset about, and then Tesla goes down to $90, let's say it goes to $70, and all the mainstream media is reporting, look at Elon, he's destroying his companies because of what he's tweeting. That's the exact that is the narrative that they're trying to push. That would be a narrative that they're trying to push, to basically pressure shareholders to do what they can't do, which is to get him to comply. But again, the only reason the stock goes down is because people sell out of the stock. So either you're in the stock buying the company or not. And what's funny is, like, with all the stuff that he gets shit for, a lot of the other social media companies, Google, Meta, they have a lot of blood on their hands in this same arena, and nobody talks about it. It's only when it's Elon,
You want to know something?
which has a fraction of the users of those platforms. It's a fraction. It's a tiny nothing. It's a rounding error. So there is a bit of hypocrisy here, I think.
You want to know what's funny? I put up that quote a while ago, not a while, like a few days ago. I said,
Which
you know,
one?
either you die a hero, you live
Oh,
long
right.
enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Joel came at me kind of hard. Joel was like, "Oh, get over your micro penis ass," and blah blah blah. Like the comments, I was like,
See
I was like, damn, bro.
Hold on.
I was like, damn, man. Like, wow. Like, cause I mean, the Elon fanboyism is kind of there too. So I think sometimes we also have to be critical of Elon too. Right now, all the shit that he's saying, bro, you're not making a great argument. You're literally, you are basically feeding the narrative that you're actually not a stable-minded person, because your actions right now, where you're tweeting, you're like going full Kanye right now. You're like on the on the path to go full Kanye. So I don't know. I'd say right now just woosah a little bit to Elon. Also, did you see the thing with Jason Calacanis where he tried to just go after, I guess, this guy Kanoka the Great or whatever? It's like an anonymous Twitter account and trying to get him to get doxxed. And it was like, he's like, "Oh, well, you should stand by your words, blah, blah." I was like, yeah, now all of us are billion-dollar venture capitalists. Sometimes anonymity is something we need. I mean, believe it or not, sometimes I worry. Like one day I'm going to get the phone call from my boss, be like, "Hey, we need to have a discussion about some of the stuff that you talk about." I'm just like, okay, like some of the things that I say go very antithetical.
Admit that's the word.
Antithetical.
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 Make that the word of the day.
Talking about, baby. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's word of the day. It's vocab.
Antithetical
Yeah.
to some of the things that like I get trained not to do. Like, so I have to do these GEI courses, like these. Trust me, if you had to go through one of these cultural sensitivity and everything else, there was like 15 years ago, the videos that you would watch and the ones that you would watch now, they are so funny how different they have evolved, right? So now there was this one video where, they reenact different things. And so if you see the stupidity of these videos, it'd be something like if you address a person in a certain way, you're doing a microaggression. Like you could say good morning in a certain way, and that's a microaggression. Or if you're like having a conversation with a female coworker, like there are certain things that you're not allowed to even like bring up, but you're allowed to bring it up with your guy friends. And then there's, like I said, there's a lot of weird stuff, man. That's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that's actually separating us at work, because we have this thing where HR can really like wreck your life, even at the point of an accusation. Mm-hmm. So for us, like as guys, we'll bullshit with each other. Like we'll make fun of each other, blah, blah. Like me and one of my coworkers, John, we love each other to death, but we always make fun of each other. I would never have that same
biologically ingrained in how men interact. Is like the teasing and the one-upping each other. It's fundamentally ingrained in men.
I'll give you a joke. So like, we mess with each other. So one time I was like, man, John's been out for a couple of days. John, how's the Pride Parade, man? I know you took a couple of days off, And so it's just funny. John's not gay, of course, but it's just, one of those things. So John would laugh at me. He'd make fun of me. I make fun of him. But with like a female, you don't go that route. Like you don't even try to joke around. It's very like, good morning, how are you?
That's why I don't have a job.
Well, ultimately that becomes the goal. You do enough of this training, or you catch a workforce young enough and you indoctrinate them with this. And what do you get? You get self-censorship, where you don't even need the courses anymore, because that's it's enforced by society. And I think Elon is seeing that and being like, we need to stop this, because this is not actually making for a better future. Like, how is this improving? How is this improving our lives? How does this make us a more free country? How does this make it better? How does this heal divides? How does this get people who disagree on certain things to communicate? It doesn't at all.
Chris, what would be your response to Blake, who says, what's wrong with going full Kanye? I think it's very obvious, but maybe we need a better answer.
Okay, so the thing is, if someone calls you crazy, you don't lean into it by doing crazy things. Like you don't act crazy. Like if you see some of the things that Kanye is doing, I agree with certain messages that Kanye puts out there. I think that there's definitely something wrong with the way that, you know, the media definitely portrays people. Sometimes the corporations end up saying you're going to do this way, no matter what, blah blah blah. But at the same time, I mean, this dude is walking around like, I
He's
guess
saying I love Hitler, dude. You don't say I love Hitler. Like, you could be
there's-
right about a lot of things. You don't say that part.
did he say I love Hitler? He didn't say that.
Yes,
I think you're
dude,
taking that out of
October 20
context.
No, October 2022 was on Alex Jones' show. He said I love Hitler.
He
was trying to
didn't
make an
say,
argument
"I
that
love
we,
Hitler."
dude,
I don't think
you have not seen the video? Yes, he did.
I don't.
If you read the transcript, yes, I think those words came out of his
No,
mouth.
guys, I can't believe you haven't. Do you want me to pull up the video? He said I love, and then he said that word Hitler. The whole context was humanity should like come together. Like, so he had the right ethos, right? We should all love each other, be friendly.
How does loving Hitler mean people come together?
Which is why he went fucking
Like,
crazy, right?
That's a bit of a stretch.
I'm surprised you guys never saw this. This was
No,
like he was wearing a mask on Alex
I
Jones'
did
show.
see it. I did see it. But I think if you take, say, Kanye's brain and you put it through the filter of someone who's a more eloquent speaker, say you took Kanye's brain out and put it in Carp, you know, and just let Carp do a whole soliloquy on that whole thing, it would probably be
Okay,
received.
I found it. I found it. Hold
Here
on
we go.
1 second. I've never seen this. Hold on.
How
This
have you
is-
never seen this, dude?
bro? I do it. I invest in stocks, not social. Is that Nick Fuentes?
Yes, dude.
Oh,
This is
dude.
a year
Oh,
ago.
Yes.
More than a year ago.
All right.
Got the mask on and everything.
So-called crime doesn't deserve the punishment. What did I thought? That's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized. Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good. And I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. How about that one? Ari Emanuel, how you like that one? Hey, Ron, you going to do anything to fix Chicago?
What do
You don't even have the full clip. He then goes on to emphasize that he
Yeah.
loves Hitler. Like, it's insane, dude.
what he was trying to do there, you know, he recently had a whole come to Jesus moment, like a literal come to Jesus moment where he became incredibly religious and Jesus is everything. And Jesus was known to like love the prostitutes and love all of the people, even the people that hurt him, and the idea of like turn the other cheek and love your enemy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think he was trying, it sounds to me like he was trying to wear that or to embody that with that statement. Like, I love everybody, even the worst of us, even the most horrible person has some good redeeming qualities. It's not how it landed at all.
But that's the thing about Elon. I think he has the right ideas, but when Tesla's down 30%, I don't know if this is the time to be.
But if I showed you evidence that Tesla is down 30%, not because of anything Elon said, but because they want to be able to spin a narrative as to why it is and blame it on Elon.
But who's they? At the end of the day, if investors are selling the stock, it's because they think he's unhinged or they think there's something wrong with the business.
Just look at Wall Street. Look at the companies that have been disrupted by Tesla succeeding.
Yeah, but Tesla's won already. Like we understand they won, but the stock's coming down because I was talking about Dan Ives today. Dan Ives said it's a communication thing. It's not really a margins.
It is not set in stone. Tesla has not won. The people who say, "Oh, Tesla's won. This is all inevitable." Even Elon has said it. It's inevitable. It's not necessarily inevitable.
Who's competition for Tesla?
You have 100-year-old industry of getting and refining oil out of the ground, turning it into gasoline, making and producing passenger vehicles, and all of the infrastructure and businesses and laws that are surrounding those industries. They are not just going to give up because Elon makes a Model S that's a good car or because we're at price parity. It's by no means is this a decided issue. And even if it is, you still you don't take that lying down. You lobby and you spend as much money as possible to slow the progress, and potentially maybe you reverse it. Maybe you say, okay, we just keep hitting Elon with stuff. Maybe he'll implode and make a stupid comment like Kanye, and he'll cancel himself. Right.
All right. There's one thing I got to talk to you guys about, and this is for my own personal mental sanity and maybe our mental sanity.
Don't worry, Chris. We'll accept you if you come out on this show right now.
No. It's
Accept you.
I am getting I need to get a social media detox, man. Like I just every day I feel like my humanity is leaving me, man. After seeing this shit, like I turn on any social media and it's just
I
like
know.
everything is depressing, dude. Everything I just want to find out some good stock picks, and it's like, oh, do you,
No, I know.
and the thing is, you can't even do any due diligence without taking this bullshit into fact.
You have to factor. Yeah, you do. You have to factor it in.
It's like, when can we go back to the days where we could just look at a company's balance sheet and that's it?
You know what I think it is, Chris? I think it's a function of, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there was no $1 trillion company. The idea of even a $1 trillion company seemed so ridiculous. But you have to ask yourself, what are these companies, when you have that much money? Money is essentially power, right? When you have that much money or that much concentrated power, what do people do with it? What do people with a lot of money do? They want to increase their power and their influence. And for them, maybe even making money as a game. And so when you've just generated so much wealth and the S&P chart just keeps going up, and there's people still alive that were investing in 50s, 60s, 70s, that are sitting on boatloads of cash, you play with politicians and policies and legislation like you and I play with, video games.
I'm
And
just
so
saying, everything I see is, maybe it's the shit that I'm searching, but everything I see is either trying to get me to swallow the red pill, right? Things like Fresh and Fit. Like I keep getting recommended.
I saw that one too, and you can't eat those poor girls out. I was like, damn, okay. It's
So I keep getting either that or I get like just all sorts of shit, man.
You got the Asian girls popping up in the
Nah, man. Yo, what happened to my Asian girl? I don't get any more Asian girls.
Oh, they left
feed
you,
no more.
Your wife found out. She cleared the history. She got rid of
I
the
don't know
cache
what
data.
happened, dude. All my Asian girls are gone. Then there was a moment where, like, for a good 15 days, I had like a bunch of Latinas.
Oh my
Now
God,
the
dude.
Latinas are gone. Now I'm
Right.
getting all the fucking manosphere red pill content, and I'm just like, bro, I'm married.
You're like,
I'm
I
done
don't want
with
to
that
look
shit.
at just pearly things. All
All right, Chris,
I know,
we're gonna piss you off a little bit more, but we got to get your thoughts on this. Palantir's up 30% in a day. I just want one question: Is this coming back down, or are we going to the moon?
I could answer that. This is coming down. I mean, dude, just on a technical level, this is not even about the company. Just look at the fucking technicals. Look at the technicals. It's gonna come down. We're gonna see 16, 17 again. How do we?
What
know?
technicals, dude? What would do you know male astrology?
I'm just saying, look at the charts. The thing was trading. The thing was trading in like the high teens for a long time. This is a substantial amount of profit. And okay, from 16 to 21, what is that? That's
30%. Yeah,
30%. All right. So say it's $5. But I mean, if some people really believe in this company, $5 might not seem like a lot if you hold in 50 shares. But if you've got 10,000 shares, I mean, this is what happens. This is part of it. And if you want to see Palantir at $50, $60, you're going to be revisiting the same price points on the way up, on the way down.
Yeah.
Become resistance, then they become support. Resistance, support. And this goes on and on and on. And so
so Chris, my question is, do you think 20 can become support, or do you think it falls back to 16? Then we'll get Steve on this.
I think it falls back to 16. Fundamentally, look, you guys saw something different in the earnings. I saw something different in the earnings. I saw a company whose growth is re-accelerating, but not to the level that's necessary for it to really pick up steam, and a valuation that's just bonkers. So for me, I think purely from a valuation standpoint, whatever market reactions there are, because this is a retail heavy stock. I think a lot of retail investors can push this thing higher and higher.
Or sell your calls.
I don't know.
Sell your calls against your.
I mean, I would say this is the time to sell some covered calls, especially that are very far out the money, and you can find there you go. You can find some people willing to make some dumb moves. I mean, I did the same thing today with Celsius. I sold some longer dated. I sold some way out of the money calls. Like I put it in as a joke. I was like, whatever. If it fills, it fills. I don't really give a shit. And I was like, I looked at my phone. I was like, wait a second. Someone actually paid to like this far out for this much money? Okay, I'll take it. That's the other thing with options. Sometimes you just put in the order and you just relax because you never know.
Yeah.
If something happens in the background, boom, that shit'll fill. And then you're just sitting on it. And I saw the contracts at the end of the day and I was like, they're already down a quarter.
You're like fishing and you're like, oh, I got one. I got to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a couple times.
Steve, go ahead.
So Amit, did I sell them live on YouTube, the cover calls? Or
No,
did I
you
do
did
it privately?
You did privately. You were on the phone with me, and that's when.
All right. So yeah, Chris, you're gonna think this is nuts. When Palantir was at like 22.20 or something like that today, I sold $40 strikes on the
For
June
June.
21st chain. I got 31 cents a share.
What?
I listen. I'm telling you, sometimes
That is crazy.
the Lord is good, and the Lord comes and
What
gives
would, the
you
market,
some
what would the
money.
market cap be at 40 bucks a share?
80 billion, 83
Oh my
billion.
God.
So the fact
And
this is what happens, dude. When,
Smart.
when
Here's the
Palantir
crazy
runs up to these high 20s, the premiums. This happened last time in December, or October. The premiums on the covered call option chain gets like through the roof because the market gets so excited they think Palantir could get to $40 by June. Now I'm bullish Palantir. I don't think it's at $40 in June, and so someone actually paid Steve for that contract.
I mean, if you don't think it's going to get to 30 by June, they're still willing to pay 98 cents.
Damn.
At 30. I mean, that's a big freaking premium for 5 months.
Is there any news on when they would get included into S&P?
It's going to be mid 2024. It's going to happen
Whatever
this
the
year.
rebalance is.
It would be this year.
Amit,
Yeah.
Share my screen, please.
Yep.
Let's talk about valuation for a minute. So, yes, Palantir after today certainly looks a little bit expensive, but if you really look at how some of these companies are trading on price to free cash flow, and then how the biggest enterprise software companies are trading, having a 35 to 45 price to free cash flow multiple is normal. I mean, Salesforce and Oracle at 31 times. Got SAP, Adobe, Intuit, and Workday all between 36 and 47 times. Established companies generate a huge amount of cash flow. After today's bump, Palantir is trading.
Wait, but before you go on, Steve, I just have to clarify one thing, okay? This whole thing with you're doing a multiple based on free cash flow, but have you considered that their SBC way outstrips that? I mean, I'm just seeing this. I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm looking at Palantir, and what they're essentially doing is saying we will have so much SBC, but at the same time, we're just not going to pay our cash compensation. So yes, our free cash flow numbers look healthy because instead of paying employees in dollars, we're just paying them in stock. So that's where your free cash flow goes up. So if you compare SBC across the board, you're going to see a much different valuation. That's why I'd be very cautious on using free cash flow as the metric. What is it priced to? What do you call it? What is it priced to sales? What is it priced to equity? I mean, at this point, they're mature enough to the point where you can actually use some of those metrics. No? Or am I wrong?
So I don't like price to sales because you're not bringing in profitability off of that. Like, you need some type of profitability measure, whether you want to use price to earnings or price to free cash flow. I mean, those are the two, or you can even do price to operating income if you want to look at that before taxes. But price to sales gets, I mean, would you buy a business that generate personally? Would you buy a business for $1 million if it's doing 5 million in revenue but not making any money? You know what I mean?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That compare them against other ones that have the same margin profiles, right? And then check it from there. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure out.
I get
how,
it.
Yeah.
Amit, go back for a sec. So all I'm saying, Chris, is when I look at this, okay, if you put a 40 multiple on Palantir's price to free cash flow, which is in the center of Adobe and Intuit, and if in 5 to 10 years, because you guys know that I am holding this for the long term, this is not a swing trade. It's not something I'm looking at selling next year unless something goes really wrong or something gets insane where it'd be stupid not to. If you put a 40 price handle or 40 multiple on their price to free cash flow and it hits 5 billion free cash flow, that's a 200 billion market cap. And based on the shares outstanding, that's a share price of 91.44. I think it can get to 5 billion annualized free cash flow within the next decade. But that's an assumption that I'm making. If it gets to 7 billion, it's about $128 price target based on that multiple. So, and all I'm saying is these multiples are not crazy when you look at the biggest market cap companies in enterprise software. These are not crazy multiples I'm talking about at a 40 times price to free cash flow.
But I think what KRIS is saying is that it's sort of creative accounting to prop up the free cash flow number. That if they were paying those employees in actual in dollars instead of stock.
Yeah, but how's that any different than Tesla? Tesla grew through issuing shares and diluting shareholders rather than tapping the debt market.
Right. But
how's that any different?
Huh?
How is it any different? I mean, it's a standard practice.
It's not any different than that. But he's and correct me if I'm wrong. What he's just saying is that that free cash flow number isn't necessarily like, for example, is Adobe doing the same thing? Like the free cash flow for these other companies that you're comparing it to, how they arrive at that number is different than the way Palantir is at that number. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but that's what it sounds like you're saying. Like Adobe doing the same thing. That's
I think that the difference to Tesla was that Tesla technically is a capital intensive business, so they should have taken on debt, to be honest with you. But I mean, they went the share route. The other thing is Tesla's growth rate has been phenomenally high, and they've been able to sustain that for quite some time. You know, so I think with regards to Palantir, if they were to reaccelerate growth, totally understand. If they started doing some share buybacks, which by the way, when it was trading maybe in the 12-16 range, they should have started to buy back. Like, you have all this money that you've already allocated towards share buybacks, yet they didn't pull the trigger on any of it. So just, I wonder. I think Enphase, if you look at what
to do that though.
Why not?
Because they're still issuing so much SBC that anything they buy back, they're just going to put back into the market. It's a bad use of capital at the moment. For them to do buybacks, they need to slow down the SBC so it stays a true buyback and decreases the float. You don't want to decrease the float and then just bring it right back up.
I mean, you want to stabilize the float, right? If you look at Enphase right now,
I would want to stabilize, but not through using cash when we still have rates where they are. And rates aren't going to come down until the 3 handles for at least a year.
Well, that's true. I agree with you. But if you think about it, the better use for capital for them, especially because they are free cash flow positive, they're generating the free cash flow anyway. It's not like they have a capital intensive business where they need to use that. I mean, and the 5% that they're getting off from the treasury, that's going to end in about a year anyway, right? So what for me right now, it's like, hey, listen, if your stock, you believe that it's truly undervalued, you know, just you can reduce down the dilution by buying back a commensurate amount of shares and then go from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, if they came out and said, we're going to use 30% of our free cash flow to buy back shares on an annualized basis, but we're not going to touch the current cash pile, I'd be fine with that. Fine with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine.
Okay, let's transition to PayPal. They have earnings tomorrow, and then we'll do quickly on PayPal, then we'll just talk Enphase at the end. So
Kelly needs to buy shares.
Before we talk about PayPal, I think we need to cover this New York Community Bank thing. I mean, PayPal, that thing has been beaten down to death. If you want a PayPal conversation, dude, AMIT talks about PayPal all day long. Like he had a live stream about it today. This thing with New York Community Bank is way more important, in my opinion,
Chris,
for now.
Look at after hours.
I know. I see it.
Chris, can you set it up? So can you set up from 2 weeks ago to now? What is happening and how do we get here?
Chris, did you see that there's a lawsuit now?
Yeah. I'll go even further back. Okay. So what and who is New York Community Bank? New York Community Bank is a regional bank, very small regional. Well, at least it used to be a very small regional bank that's actually has its headquarters in Huntington, Long Island. Okay. Now, what happened was, in the lieu of Signature Bank failing, these guys were tapped by the FDIC to say, hey, listen, the FDIC doesn't come in and manage your money. What they do is they take another bank, which is well run, and they say, hey, these are the assets for this dying bank. We need you to take them over. We will prop you up by giving you liquidity injections via either well, in this case, what the FDIC did was do an equity infusion, where basically New York Community Bank created shares out of thin air, and what do you call it? And these guys bought it, The FDIC bought those shares. So essentially, they were able to infuse some liquidity in there. And they got some discounts, I think, on some of the assets. But basically, the assets were transferred from Signature Bank to New York Community Bank. New York Community Bank is now responsible to do whatever with those assets. They could either liquidate them, they can keep them on the books, they can sell them, whatever. It's just how it is. Now, they have over $100 billion in assets now because they were able to combine another bank called Flagstar plus this. And so now they're, from a regulatory standpoint, they're actually somewhat important. That's how it works. The bigger you become as a bank, the more regulatory scrutiny you're usually put under. So now the problem, and this is the thing, the news that came out today, was that the regulators were the ones that kind of pushed New York Community Bank to cut the dividend and stock up more in reserves. Now that they're considered a bigger bank,
Category
they need to
4
build
now because they have over 100 billion. Category 4, I believe,
Right.
is 100 to 250 billion. And it's like Chris said, it's because they acquired Flagstar, which is one of the biggest mortgage originators, and then they took on the assets from Signature Bank.
Right. Now, the problem is that they got so big that now they need to build up reserves. So they started to do that. But the way that they communicated that during the earnings call was, hey, we need to build reserves. And the market took it completely different, saying, holy shit, this bank, it's got bad loans on its books and bad assets on its books, and they're going to have to write down way more. So what happens now? Confidence is gone. Banking is not necessarily even about balance sheets. It's about confidence. If people are confident in you and your ability to pay them back, your bank will do well. If you don't have confidence, you will get something called a bank run. The other thing is a lot of the deposits that New York community banks have is not from retail mom and pop people like me, you putting our deposits in there from our jobs. It's actually something called hot money. Hot money can be withdrawn at any time by these big ass institutions. So a lot of what we're seeing right now is kind of weird, but the regulators are the ones that fucked up, and now they may end up having to rescue the bank that they assigned to rescue the original one that failed.
So this isn't
It's
New York Community Bank's fault, is what you're saying. Everything that's going on.
I would say it is partially their fault because they never should have bid for those Signature Bank assets before. They were like, oh yeah, we could do it. If you as the CEO of New York Bancorp should have realized, like, hey, wait a second, this might be too big of a problem for us to chew. So now New York Community Bank is going to have a problem. So I don't know. Like the problem here is that you also have a lot of multifamily and commercial real estate that was backed by all those loans. And so right now there's a perception that commercial real estate is going down. And this is like the first domino to fall. And so now all these other regional banks, they're getting their confidence taken away. And so you're seeing them starting to drop off. So you're seeing the KRE drop precipitously among the smaller players. So this is where you have to be very, very cautious of which regional banks you want to buy into. There are certain ones that I am keeping my eye on because if they get sold off, I am going to buy them, and I'm going to rinse and repeat exactly what I did
New York
last
Community
year.
one of those, or no? You think New York
No,
Community is
not right this second? No. The problem is they are in a position where the confidence is completely gone, and to get the FDIC to move now is going to be I don't know.
Steve?
So-
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I have a problem with management on this one for several reasons. I mean, Chris, did you listen to the earnings call or read the transcript?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So this is gonna be a regurgitation for you, but the problem is these guys, this is what they do for a living. You made the acquisition of Flagstar that completely changed the dynamics of your company. You're still a regional bank, but you're no longer considered a community thrift bank. Then you bid on the assets from Signature Bank. You knew, or you should have known, that you are going to be over the 100 billion cap, and you are going to be looked at as a different category bank, and you're going to have different regulations you have to heed by. How is it that they didn't take this into consideration and at least pre-warn or stayed on the Q3 call. Like you knew that this was going to occur. Maybe you didn't know that you were going to end up having to cut the dividend, but you at least knew your reserves and your funding would have to change. The second paragraph of Thomas Kamini, who is the what is he? He is the president and CEO. Starts out, we reported 2.3 billion in net income available to common shareholders, up from 617 million in 2022. The guy takes a freaking victory lap before saying the addition of Signature Bank catapulted us to over 100 billion in total assets, placing us firmly in the category 4 large bank class of banking institutions between 100 billion and 250 billion in total assets. The last 3 years, we were all a build up to this moment, and now they are under different regulations, blah, 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 blah. It's like, how didn't you pre-warn this? I think this would have been received better if they did a better communication job. This conference call, you want to talk about the Tesla conference call being a shit show? This was a shit show.
When you say pre-warn, you mean they should have pre-warned investors?
They should have came out the way that if a company is going to miss earnings, they'll pre-warn to get the hit over with and try to win back confidence. My feeling, and I can't prove this, my feeling is that if this is what you do and you're making these acquisitions, the Signature Bank thing happened over the summer or over the spring or summer, whenever it closed. Q3 earnings were in October and November. You could have said something then. It's not like you didn't know that this had a chance of happening or you had to change what your reserves were. Like they should have at least brought it up on the Q3 call. There was nothing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then waiting to now, it's an optic nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be interesting. Josh Brown is buying NYCB, which is...
Well, he was the other day. I don't know if he is anymore.
You want to know something funny? This is gonna make JP Morgan even bigger, baby. You know they're gonna turn to JP because now they need someone who's strong to pick up the assets.
Like the check.
You think Jamie's going to take him over now?
Jamie's stuck. Jamie's like literally at this point. Jamie is what's his name?
He's the bailout guy.
He's a bailout guy. Yeah, he's the only guy because no one else has the reputation or the liquidity to swallow this thing now.
He's the loan shark. He's like, oh, I heard you need money. I heard you need money.
So now there's a class action
Your belt
lawsuit
buckle open up.
against NYCB.
Huh? Say that again.
There's a class action lawsuit that was filed in one of the Brooklyn districts today.
Yeah, whatever, man. That's so secondary because the bank failing is probably the bigger problem. Because if it does go down, you're going to see the entire market crap along with it because now you're going to have a credit event. But maybe this is the stupidity that actually makes the market go higher because this is where we are in the world right now, where this means that the Fed got their liquidity and credit event that they needed in order to start cutting rates a little early. Maybe that's the end game for this. And the minute that they start cutting, I don't know. Like this is such a weird situation right now. I can't even. It's gonna be one of those things that we have to keep an eye on and a track of. I really, really hope to God the FDIC does not fuck this up.
Do you think there's going to be a massive regional banking crisis, Chris, or no?
They could trigger one by not being very prudent on how they guide for this and how they bring confidence back into the market. There's a problem because there's already a ton of people that are on edge about commercial real estate in general. Everyone is just looking for the first domino to drop. And if this is the one that drops it, everyone and their mother is going to start selling off stuff. And when they start selling stuff off, it's like a giant fire sale, man. And then the Fed has to goddamn come in and end up making some big moves. And that doesn't exactly turn out that well. I don't know. And it's just a weird situation, dude. This is at this point, the Fed and the FDA. I blame Michael Barr for this, by the way. Fucking Michael Barr screwed this shit up because he's a heavy-handed regulator. And I had to write a letter to the Federal Reserve for their regulatory thing. Post SVB and and FRC collapses, they're like, oh, you know what? We are going to be heavy-handed with our regulatory powers after the fact. The problem is, after the fact, what you're doing is basically screwing up how these banks actually work. And the timetables that you're trying to implement these things are kind of rough. So a lot of exemptions that they had in the past when it came to something called AOCI inclusion, those things had to be pushed back a little bit. I wrote some letters to them. I don't know if they'll actually even take into consideration, but this is a situation here where we could see, like the person said, a contagion risk. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think after the nightmare that we lived through last year, no way that the Fed wants to try to even.
But so is that a way the Fed cuts in March to make sure we don't have a contagion?
It's not the cut. It's not the cutting situation that I'm worried about. It's more along the lines of, what are they going to do to prop this bank up? Because I mean, it's already down 30% today, 15%. I mean, this bank is going to be in the last legs by the end of this week. If you're telling me the Federal Reserve isn't meeting in the background right now trying to figure out who the buyer is for this, because at this point they're going to need a buyer. I don't think that this comes back. I think they're going to have to find someone to take this damn thing over. And the only person I can think that can do it is Jamie. That's it.
Oh, I was going to say
have you gone through the actual balance sheet and the report?
It's fine. It's fine. There's not that much.
Like you're talking about the book values 1429, tangible book value 1006. Okay.
Yeah.
They generated 2.17 billion in net income for 2023. Like, what's
Are you saying it's a buy, Steve? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. While I own it, I'm saying that. Net. So here's the other thing. Net loans is 83.63 billion, and their total deposits are 81.36. I don't like that because they have over 100% loan to LDR ratio, loan to deposit. That's not necessarily good, but that can be fixed. I don't know. I need to really look into this. Like,
but I would say when it comes to book values on things, think of it for mark to market. Okay, so right now, imagine, Amit,
yes,
you have a 14 karat gold bar, right? You go in there looking like you have a proper suit. You look like you're a well-to-do person. You just got out of a Mercedes. When you go to the pawn shop and you say, I have this gold bar, I don't need it, but can you appraise it for me and tell me how much it's worth? They're going to give you a set price. Now, if you go in there looking like a homeless person, the guy's going to look at you and be like, 50 cents on the fucking dollar. That's what I'm going to offer you. Take it or leave it. So right now, this New York Community Bank looking like that homeless person with these assets. That's the problem. So even though the book value can be, hey, I have a 14 karat gold bar, if you look like your shit, no one is going to give you those at that fair market value. What they're going to, the market value, what they're going to do is undercut the shit out of you. So right now, technically,
60 cents on the dollar for tangible book, that's still $6 a share. Post market, it's at $3.50. It's like
the problem is,
I was going to, do you think there's enough smart money to get what Steve just said that's going to buy up shares and prop it up over the next couple of weeks? Or
no one wants the contagion. No one wants this on their fucking balance sheet.
This is not that type of thing because of what happened in April.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you swallow them, your regulatory, okay, so let's take one step back.
There's 4 banks that can swallow them.
Yes,
maybe 5. Maybe you throw UBS in there. Maybe
they're foreign. They wouldn't come around. They have their own set of challenges post merger with
Credit Suisse or US Bank Corp. Maybe.
Yeah. So you've got maybe 4 banks that can do this. JP Morgan can definitely do it. Bank of America could, but Bank of America has a crap ton of fucking treasuries that they have that are negative yielding at this point. So I doubt Bank of America wants to jump into this. Wells Fargo is another one. Wells Fargo, though, has so many freaking rats on their ship that's not the one. Citi could do it, but Citi's in a transformation mode. They just laid off 40,000 employees. The only bank, in my opinion, that can take these guys on and take the challenge on is Jamie. That's it. There's no other option. Every other regional right now, they're fighting to to get as much liquidity as possible to meet Basel III standards right now. So none of the other regionals are going to step up to this. Only person that can save you now is Jamie Dimon. That's it. That's all you got.
He loves buying distressed assets on the cheap.
Oh, and guess what?
He loves buying
And
assets on the cheap.
And backed by the federal government via cheap debt.
Of course.
All right, I think we should talk about Enphase because that happened.
Oh yeah, that did happen today.
Dude, I don't know why the street has this stock up 12%. I think this is dumb.
I gotta say, I heard you live.
Their guidance is disgusting. I don't know who's buying this stock, but I guess it's being bought. Revenue of 302 versus 328. They missed badly on revenue. The margins are nice, 50%, but nonetheless, revenues are down a lot. And then they're guiding for, I mean, the two main numbers are they have under 2 million in revenue, and they're guiding for 260 to 300 next quarter, which is far below, the 800 million they were doing a couple of 4 quarters ago. And rates aren't coming down in March. I mean, Jay Powell said that. So, and even if they do come down in June, it's going to be 25 basis points, maybe 50 basis points. Like, solar is not going to be easy to finance anytime soon for the average consumer.
It's so funny how you say that, how you say it so calmly now. But when I heard you, when you didn't think I was listening on your live stream today, you're like, "Fuck, who the fuck wants solar?"
No, I'll still say that. Who the fuck wants solar?
Like, oh, who the fuck wants that? When I said
no, let me say this because now you're calling me out on this. Let me say this. So let me say it right now.
Yeah.
7 months ago, you said, AMIT, there is no catalyst for Palantir, but solar is the world. Everyone wants clean energy. That's the catalyst for Enphase. You were wrong. The catalyst for Palantir was AI, and the catalyst for solar was interest rates, not actual solar panels. And interest rates went down the drain, and Palantir went up because of AI.
Hold on. First of all, they're two fundamentally completely different businesses, like in terms of comparing them. So this is not about like if I have only $100, well, which stock do I buy? Like I try to take out opportunity cost out of it and say, okay, if you want to invest in clean energy, who are you going to invest in? If you want to invest in AI, who are you going to invest in? I never said that there was no catalysts for.
No, you did.
For AI. No, I never said there was no catalyst for.
You said there's no catalyst. You were like, AMIT, what's the catalyst? And then I said AI, and you laughed, and it's okay. But you did laugh at $10. You laughed. It's okay.
No.
I can get the receipts tomorrow. You laugh.
Okay, let's get we'll get the receipts. My point is like, and honestly, I'm just giving you shit. Because
I know.
I'm happy that your stock's over $20. So all right, we'll see you back in the teams. And see.
No, but seriously, who's buying Enphase off that fucking guidance? What did Baudry say?
Basically, Baudry basically cued that Q1 2024 is going to be the bottom, and that basically Q2 will pick back up, and by Q3 there's not going to be any more inventory issues. Everything that they're suffering right now can be boiled down to two things. Number one, just a massive overproduction. So they had way too many inverters out there, and they needed to flush that through their suppliers and move that around the world and get that inventory bought and sold and installed. And they basically guided us that by Q3 they're not going to have that, so they'll be able to match the production with their with the demand. So, and also rates. Okay, you say, okay, when rates turn around, even if it's just 25 basis points, there is a lot of pent up demand. People know more about solar now. Every quarter that goes by, people learn about it, they know about it. But in the same way that KRIS was like, let me look at it. You know what? When he was looking at buying EV, he's like, you know what? I want this. I don't necessarily need this right now. And solar is not even like a car. You need to have a car. Everyone needs to have some kind of car. So it's those two things. If they even signal that rates are going to come down, they will, as rates come down, they will unlock more and more of this pent up demand. There's actually a couple of other really good things on the call. I got like a little
this pent up demand. Is there any logic for that, or you just think that people want to get solar, and that's gonna happen? Because even if rates go down 25 basis points, that doesn't change the financing that much, right?
But it will be enough for some customers. And then there's a point where that as it drops, it just continues to expand. The other part of it is we're seeing more EVs sold, and there is a correlation between people that buy EVs from any automaker and the ones that go and get sold.
Yeah.
To realize like, I don't want to go supercharged. I don't want to do anything, especially if you're one of these buyers that's buying from an EV automaker that's not a Tesla. You're like, I'm going to make sure I leave my house charged every day. There's a couple of
private chat.
Say again?
No, nothing. Go on.
Oh, sorry. Okay. They're continuing this Moody's downgrade. That's funny. Some other things here. Okay. Okay. much of the downturn is explained by high interest rates. Oh, and also that NEM 3.0 thing. The NEM 3.0 thing basically affects how much money people get when they send power back to the grid. For those of us like myself and VITALY, we're grandfathered in at a much better rate, so we get more money. And the people that aren't going to be benefiting from that, the fact that they've been able to penetrate and install more batteries alleviates some of those fears. So these were some good things that happened that we saw on the call. That Enphase market share has not been affected whatsoever, which means that what's affecting them as a business is affecting the entire solar industry. There was also a statistic here that said that their net promoter score is 77%. So that means people that have Enphase and have it installed, how favorable do you see the company? 77% is incredibly high for a company, which means that these people are happy, and then they go ahead and they become ambassadors. Their electric car sales were up 7%. That Europe is already showing some signs of recovery, and they're getting ready to announce the IQ9 and the IQ10 and 4th and 5th generations batteries soon. They're working on improved energy management software and some other things here. What was the other thing here? There was another interesting piece here.
Let me get Chris in here while you're finding that. Chris, any
No,
thoughts?
wait, real quick, because we can respond to all of this. That they're working on 3-phase batteries for Germany. Without getting into the technicals, that's a very good thing that they have 3-phase batteries, and that they expanded to UK, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, and Belgium, all within the last 12 months. And here's another kicker: in India, Mexico, and Brazil, they started shipping their 480-watt AC inverters. Now, why is that important? Because the IRA gives them subsidies based on the wattage of the units. And so the higher the units are, the more that they get back, the more that Enphase benefits from that. So if they start to ship these out, then these are more powerful inverters than what they currently have, meaning that as they produce them, the government's going to give them just that much more of an incentive. And well, like we started this conversation, free cash flow. Enphase right now is trading at 21 times free cash flow. And I looked up Solar Edge's. I looked up Solar Edge's a number, and I could be wrong because Visual Stocks, that website, doesn't necessarily have the most up to date information, but it doesn't look like their main competitor, Solar Edge, looked like they're negative.
Okay, Chris, you buying Enphase here?
No, he's waiting for 50. Then he'll wait for 20.
I'm not even. I think the rate environment is probably going to be. I told you there's two circumstances under which solar makes absolute sense: when you have high energy prices and you have low interest rates. One without the other.
Yep.
You have to evaluate that. So, if natural gas prices start to climb, that's a good sign for Enphase. Mm-hmm. If the price of electricity goes up, good sign for Enphase. If interest rates come down, good sign for Enphase. So you just kind of need both things to work out. Now, I can't tell you what the weather is going to be like next year, right? Let's say we get a really cold winter next year and natural gas supplies are really, out of whack and whatever, and we get high natural gas prices. You could see a lot of people getting solar. Same thing with interest rates being lower. So, not to mention you also need a robust economy.
EVs, Chris, and EVs. Yeah. As people buy EVs, say a double-digit percentage of those people go and look for solar.
There's a lot of moving parts to this, but there's a lot better opportunities in the market than trying to time this one. So I'm more focused on the areas that I know that are guaranteed to do better in a lower rate environment, rather than having to need another part of the equation go right. So yeah.
Well, they also bought back 3 million shares.
That was actually something I like.
No, they bought that
and they bought it at $84. Yeah, that was great.
The average price over the whole buyback was $124. So it's in the billions, the amount that
they have $1 billion authorized. Yeah.
All right. So then they still have over half of that left, and they can pick about.
That was great. That was good shit. I think that's actually why the street bought it. To be honest,
it's good for us. I mean, look, what I respect about companies like Enphase is that the way that they're run, I feel like I get a lot of transparency from the CEO on those calls. They're really dense. They're packed with the correct amount of information, and they speak very candidly. So I feel very comfortable having my money in that company because I feel like I'm getting really good information. Maybe not, not the insider information, but I am getting really good clarity on what's happening at the company, what they want to do to fix that, what their roadmap is. And then they're really honest in terms of, okay, it could be a couple of quarters. Good. That's good for me to know. Okay. That means I have some time to continue to DCA and I'm not going to worry about it.
All right, fellas, I'm out. I'll see you.
See you. Steve, your thoughts on Enphase? Anything you want to say?
He's like, until they make a bot. He's like, fuck, can that inverter do my laundry?
Listen, I am all about buying back time.
What do you say?
I'm all about buying back time, you know?
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on Enphase at all or no?
I did not look at the earnings. I would need to read it. It's something I thought was very interesting. And look, based on government subsidies, based on her.
Let me do this question. This question will be better. Do you think AI or solar is going to be a bigger catalyst in the next 10 years? This will be fun.
I mean,
Because 7 months ago, me and Carlos had this debate. And obviously, stocks have, Enphase was higher than Palantir. Palantir was higher than Enphase. That'll happen regardless, right? But the debate is still fun. AI or solar over the next decade?
you got to remember something. And you're expecting me to say AI.
No, there's a good argument for solar. There's a
lot of money that's going to be pumped into
agree.
renewables over the next decade. So it's not a cut and dry conversation.
But nonetheless, your answer is
Like,
I don't know, but if I had to pick,
AI powered solar.
AI powered solar.
Powered AI.
So, Carlos, I will tell you, I am invested in STEM for that very reason.
Interesting.
And it is a long shot. Okay. It is a lotto ticket long shot. Have you ever looked into that?
$3. That's $475 million.
STEM stock. That's what you're invested in?
Dude, it is up Carlos and Vitaly's alley. If you actually look into what
cap
they
of 475 million, you're a small cap kind of guy.
Oh yeah,
aren't you?
that's a tiny one.
If you look into what they do, it is very interesting. And if the solar narrative on a large scale really comes through in the next decade, their software could be utilized by so many people and it could be huge. But this is a straight lotto ticket.
Yeah. At 400, anything under $1 billion, it's a lotto ticket. But
Straight lotto ticket.
One good earnings. I mean, what does it take to double that? Jamie Dimon. Just ask Jamie Dimon to
Ask Jamie for a rating. You know?
shake out his pocket.
I think solar was a bigger catalyst than AI 8 months ago when interest rates were not this high. Like you were right, but interest rates got high, and now AI is the buzz because the street needs exposure. But once that changes, I think you're probably gonna be right, Carlos. Once like interest rates come down back to like 2%, 3%. And solar financing is fucking easy.
They both
AI will be a catalyst, but so will solar. I mean,
they both have a big TAM. They
both have a huge TAM.
That's the thing. I feel like both of them are just kind of getting started. Like the AI thing is, look, we're in ground level AI. This is like we're right there when this is starting. Talk about something in its infancy. This is just starting now. So there's usually that mania that's surrounded by that usually follows when there's a new thing, the new shiny toy. So you're going to see that run up, and that'll probably benefit a bunch of companies next year, 2 years. Solar has been around for a while, but like to Steve's point about just the amount of government subsidies, and again, customers are incredibly happy with their products, and Enphase has been executing. They are not impervious to certain macro forces, but I mean, out of all of the companies, I trust them to be able to weather this storm and continue to grow. Versus the others. So when you ask about STEM, I'm already, between Enphase and Tesla, I'm already heavily into that into that market. And so I feel like I don't know, I probably wouldn't take a bet on those guys.
Yeah, and like I said, I have no idea what they're gonna do. It looks super interesting, and it's a lotto ticket on adoption in solar at a large scale. Because I think that as a software play, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows?
All right. I think we ended there. This was good. We'll have PayPal tomorrow.
Wait, hold on. Last thing.
What?
Can we talk?
Oh,
Aunt Kathy bought 2 million shares or so of Palantir.
Oh yeah, she bought that. Yeah, this is the weird thing though, dude. Why is she buying when it runs 30% in a day? It's so
she gets
weird.
excited.
But it's so so we should actually talk about this. There was an article that came out today by Morningstar, and it went viral in the finance community. I'm sure you guys have seen the headline. Kathy Wood has lost investors like $7 billion. Or
I saw it was 10 billion, or is it 7 billion over a decade or 10 billion over a decade? I saw the headline.
It's many billions after our collapse in 2020, and it's because of shit like this, dude. If you have a research team that is so smart, so sophisticated, so this, so that, why the hell are you not buying Palantir at $16, $15, 14. Why are you buying it at all time? Not all time, but 52-week highs. You know.
See, I
I
mean,
just don't get it.
you got to let this one play out. You can't, you know, she's the quarterback who's called the play. She's sitting down in front of the line of scrimmage and they snap the ball. Let's see if she.
Oh, dude, but she's called a lot of plays and she's been dead wrong
Right.
on
She could
every
be-
single play outside of Tesla.
She
Like,
could be wrong about this one, but if that stock runs up to $25, $26, $27, she's gonna sell it. It'll be gone.
No,
She'll
not gonna
sell it. She'll sell it and she'll take the profit.
dude, she lost $400 million in 2022
Roku.
on Spotify.
Oh, Spotify.
I mean, like that article, I didn't get to read the whole article, but I think I saw a clip of it. It was, she has really destroyed a lot of money for a lot of people. I mean, and I who am I to say anything? She's the one managing all that money.
That's what I think of. Yeah, I say, who am I?
Who am I? I get it, but like, it's tough, dude.
Did you look at Spotify? I looked at them today. I don't understand it.
Who?
I was looking at them too. They just paid Joe Rogan $250 million.
Plus
Why do you?
revenue share.
To renew
Plus
his
revenue
contract,
share.
and then he can still put the shit on YouTube. I don't know. I feel
Why
like
do you think it makes sense? Why do you think they did it?
Oh no,
they're
I got-
locking down.
this
They're
makes
locking
sense.
down their star talent. It's like when you have a baseball team. You got to pay the guy. You know, you have your Michael Jordan. You
I
got to
mean-
pay him a fuck ton of money so he doesn't leave.
this is up 89% in the past year. Market cap of 43.5 billion.
You
But
say,
when I look at the financials,
Oh, Spotify. Oh, you're talking about Spotify.
yeah.
when I
Oh,
look
dude.
at the financials,
It's so
huge
bad.
amount of revenue, 13.5 billion, but they're freaking losing money.
Dude, they can't make today. They reported numbers. They lost $75 million. This
Oh, they
quarter.
report today.
He
They
wrote it
reported today. The stock was.
Okay, so I don't
this is
have
this is
the
what's
updated
happening with
report.
Spotify. They are growing every quarter. Every 90 days, they're getting, call it 25 million monthly active users. They're growing the premium subscribers. They're growing the ad-supported users. But the dirty secret of Spotify is that 95% of every dollar, and I'm not kidding here, they make like a 5% net income margin on the music, is going to the record labels, going to Justin Bieber and Usher and all those people. So they only make money on the advertising revenue. The advertising revenue is nothing on podcasts. It's like absolutely, it's like, it's garbage. Their gross margins are barely above 24%.
Yeah,
So-
but the street is only caring about subscriber numbers. This is the
Yeah,
Netflix.
but this is
That's
the hard
all
part.
the street cares about.
But this is the weird part because you can bring in 1 billion subscribers, but if for every $15 they charge or $12 they charge, you make like 3 pennies of profit. What is
Yeah,
the street
this was-
buying it for?
Yeah, but that was the same argument that the mainstream media was giving Google when they wanted to buy YouTube. You got all these daily active users, but you're not monetizing them in any way. I think the street is saying once you get the subscriber base, they will figure out ways to further and further monetize those customers.
But dude, they've had the subscriber base for almost 15 years. They haven't figured out how to monetize.
I know, and it took Google a while. It took Google a while to
No,
figure
but here's the thing about Google.
out.
I don't even
$8 billion a quarter.
no, but Carlos, I don't even think YouTube really makes money for you.
What? You
Think about it.
They
Think
make
about it.
money from us. Every one time someone gives us $1, they take.
No. Think about it like this. So Google made $86 billion of profit last quarter.
Yeah.
Of revenue. 20 billion was profit. YouTube made $9 billion of revenue.
So okay,
So out of the 20 billion that's in profit, let me just finish this.
It was 10%.
Well, my point is YouTube theoretically could be a loss leader for Google because think about how much it costs. There's 500 hours of video uploaded a minute. 99% of that never gets watched. And then the stuff that does gets watched, there's a crappy ad share. Like,
Dude, look at this.
I think YouTube makes a lot of money in terms of revenue. I don't know if it comes down to the bottom line, but the search business, brings in a shit ton of profit.
But the effect that YouTube has.
Yeah, that's where the value is, but I don't know if it's the profit.
On it all fucking, you're on it.
I agree.
all day. And it's also the data that they get on the users, on what users want to watch. That's incredibly valuable to them. Even just you using it gives them value. And you know what I mean? And
It is valuable, but it's not the
Everyone's on
profit. It's not the net income driver for Google. And the problem with Spotify is they don't have like a YouTube to be a loss leader. They are the YouTube that a Google would buy.
Look,
is
bring
my
this back up.
right. But
Go ahead.
This is disgusting. Like
It's bad,
12,
dude. It's bad.
12 months, past year, okay? They increased their freaking revenue by $1.5 billion. 13.3 billion in revenue. and they can't turn a profit, they actually lost more money this year than last year.
I've been saying this for 2 years that the
how-
record labels control Spotify.
All right, but how is this any different when we have our conversations about Uber and it's like they're making all this money? How are they not able to?
Uber's
turn-
gap profitable, dude. They're in the S&P 500.
Finally, I know, but I'm saying this is the same argument that we were saying about Uber. Like, what are you doing? You're just connecting people. You're not even buying the cars. You're literally not doing anything except being a middleman. How are you not able to make money? The same sort of deal, except in this case, it's not a rider and a
So
vehicle.
but they're losing more money and diluting shareholders. Like, that's the crazy part. They diluted shareholders by an additional 2 million shares or 1.8 million shares, and they lost an additional 102 million over the year. Like,
So let me pose the question here.
Look, can you
I
bring
think
that up
of-
again? Can you? I just want to look at that one time.
Yeah, I think Spotify is basically Sirius XM. Sirius gave Howard Stern God knows how much money because he's going to bring in subscribers. I think Sirius has 30 million subscribers. So that's why Spotify paid Joe Rogan. That's their Howard Stern, 250 million. The problem is
there's a big difference.
no. Let me just finish this, and I'm gonna let you go. The
Yeah.
problem is originally when they got Joe Rogan, the goal was to get users, and if Joe Rogan has all the attention, the users will come to Spotify. I think they figured out, holy crap, it's been 3 years. We got as many people as we could possibly get from Joe Rogan. Like, if you haven't switched to Spotify by now, you just don't care that much about Joe Rogan, right? And now they're like, well, let's make money off the actual Joe Rogan podcast via advertising. So let him be on YouTube and Rumble and whatever, and we'll just make money off the ads. That to me is the biggest red flag I've ever seen. Because now the tech company is turning into a media company trying to make money off ads, off a podcast, and I'm paying $40 billion for the shares. Why are you trying to just make advertising?
Keep in mind that Spotify's market cap's like 42.5 billion.
Yes.
Sirius Satellite Radio, 20 billion market cap. Okay.
Yeah.
Now watch this. Oh, cool. They made 1.26 billion in net income. Like, they're fucking making money hand over fist, and the valuation is half as much.
Well, but Spotify, I'm sorry, but XM Sirius Satellite Radio, they don't have like a user interface. They don't have an app.
No, they do. They do. They have an app. It's a
They
subscription
have,
platform.
they have an app, and they already come embedded in freaking Ford and GM.
Well, then they
Sirius
don't. I mean,
sells advertising. They're very
everybody-
clear about their business. Sirius is like, we're going to make ads.
And don't forget, they have a ton of
That's it.
sports. They got NASCAR, they got golf, they got a bunch of stuff that people actually care about too.
Well, look, one thing anecdotally, okay, I watched Joe Rogan exclusively on YouTube, and I just could not accept Spotify as a video player. I'm sorry, I just don't like it as a video player. But I've got to say, more and more recently, I'm exclusively listening to his podcasts on Spotify. I'll throw it on and I just have it on at the gym.
So I have Spotify on my TV,
and
and
now
I will sit there and watch it sometimes.
like it's very rare. It's very rare that I'll actually use it.
YouTube's so much more efficient.
But it's the idea that I was watching Joe Rogan exclusively on YouTube. How many ads was I getting served? I mean, how much information and data was Google getting? And now that's all going to Spotify. I'm on Spotify way more now than I was before. And there's like pre-roll ads and there's ads in the middle and stuff. So I don't know. Over the course of a Joe Rogan podcast, maybe I'm getting 30 ads. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Dude, my thing about Spotify is I actually am bullish on the stock because I think they're going to get to 1 billion users.
I hate Spotify. Spotify was your enemy.
Does
Yeah, but
anybody buy out Sirius?
Well,
No, but let me finish a thought before you just interrupt. Give me a second. The thing about Spotify is
Does
they're
anybody
probably-
buy out Sirius?
I was like, you're the fifth wheel, okay? You're not even the star. And now you're It's like, damn it, I want my podcast back. No, the thing about Spotify, real quick, is that they're going to get to 1 billion users. I get it because they're growing. They're the #1 app for music everywhere. I get it. But YouTube Premium, Amazon, it's the same shit. It's just music. So if you're paying for Spotify, like legitimately paying, it's because you're so enthralled with the user interface. I don't know if there's that many people in the world that just care about Spotify for the UI and the fancy playlists. Because I canceled my Spotify 4 years ago to get YouTube Premium because I got YouTube with no ads and I got the music. So
And think
music
about
is a loss leader for every company. For Spotify, they're trying to make it money. Universal Music Group will never let Spotify ever take more of a cut of the revenue. Spotify tried signing the next Justin Bieber. Universal cut that shit out in 2019. They're like, if you do that, we're taking our music and leaving.
Yeah, but admit, think about it. You have Prime that has a huge music catalog. You got YouTube, like you said, and what about Apple Music?
But it doesn't make money for Apple.
No,
Google, or
no, no.
Amazon.
I get that, but I'm just saying that's straight competition for Spotify.
Yeah.
So that's my point. That's my point, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I do not see how Spotify is worth 40 billion freaking dollars.
Well,
I don't get
dude,
it.
look, the reason I'm saying I'm bullish on it is because I think the stock, like yeah, 40 billion is ridiculous, right? I think the stock will naturally go up over time when they get to 1 billion users. Because Carlos is right, they'll probably monetize. I just think the monetization is going to be so. I can't even figure out how they're going to do it. So I don't
I'm not
know
saying it can't go
why
up.
people are buying the shares, but they're buying it on the potential that they'll monetize it, which is why the stock will go. That's why I'm bullish. But I'm not
just
bullish on
saying
the
that
company.
it doesn't, from a financial fundamental standpoint, it does not make sense except from a price to sales multiple.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it. Price to sales.
That's
Yeah, it's
it.
like a price to
That's
sales of
the only
2
thing
or
that would
something.
make sense. And that's arguably the worst multiple to look at.
Yeah, I think people are buying Spotify because they think the potential of it to blow up is huge and monetize the users. Kind of similar to Netflix. But Netflix figured out their costs, and Netflix didn't have to pay record labels. Once they started making Stranger Things, they owned that content.
Yeah, but wait. You say that like it's just that once they started making Stranger.
I know it took time.
Still,
Right, I get it.
takes like billions of dollars a year
Yeah, you're right. You're
to
right.
do
So
something.
at what point does somebody take Sirius satellite radio out of their misery because the stock has done nothing? Or did you see the deal with Warner Brothers today?
What was the deal?
Warner Brothers, ESPN, and somebody else are teaming up for a streaming service.
Oh, I'm so over these streaming services. I'm sorry. That's not
That was
even
kinda
it's
crazy.
not even
Get
news
that right?
anymore. It's not even news anymore.
Hold on. I swear to God,
I agree with 112 test. I was a holdout, but YouTube Premium is still the best value. Besides the no ads, it's still.
Can someone put a bull case in the chat? Why would you buy Spotify? Give me like a 2-sentence thesis. Why? Because I can't justify it either outside of price of sales, but I don't see the long-term vision.
But just ask yourself, if you were made CEO tomorrow, what would you do to make this?
I would go to the record labels and be like, well, I don't even know how do you negotiate with these guys? They have all the music. Like, what do you say to them?
All right, so
Daniel
here's
barely got the music.
ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery forming joint venture to launch streaming sports service in the U.S. coming fall 2024.
Unless there's like a Vision Pro exclusive app, I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that news, Steve. It's, I don't know, dude. It's another.
Oh, look, Harry Wild just subscribed.
Look, that's fine, but like, I subscribed to Spotify when I paid $5 a month for Spotify and Hulu in college, dude. They were making zero money off of me, and in India they charge like $2 a month. Like, I don't get the business long term how they turn a profit. Advertising is a shitty business unless there's user generated content. If you have to pay Joe Rogan $250 million to make back $251 million, that's trash. YouTube has to do nothing to make ad revenue. They just have to get us to post.
But aside from that, they're not. I mean, that Meta makes a lot of money, and they don't produce any of their own content. As a matter of fact, when they tried, it didn't work.
Well,
Right.
Listen, they're the smallest company in the world. They created the platform. Let everybody else create the content. I mean, it's the best business model.
I mean,
Spotify doesn't do that.
I have my music on Spotify, so you can get anyone, like, you can use Spotify like a YouTube. You could just go and upload your shit.
Dude, so the biggest problem with Spotify is that they don't have discovery of content, because if they actually allowed artists and podcasters to get discovered like YouTube does or TikTok does, people would post more and there would be a more thriving network.
I mean, look, I've had my
They just
music
don't have
on for 4 years now, and I shit you not, every like month or so I get an email from Catapult Reservatory, which I guess they're clearinghouse, that sends me 1 penny for my
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing.
But in a few years, I'm now up to 4 cents. I think I might have even made 5 cents the last time. So I've quintupled the amount of my views. And so someone's discovering my music somehow. All I did was just put it up there. I didn't even do anything.
Cal said, I built my Spotify playlist for years. I'm stuck. I agree with you. I just don't. And yes, you're stuck. But the question is,
gotta go.
See ya. We'll just end it on here. The question is, let's say Spotify says, okay, we're raising prices from $10 to $30 a month. You'll probably stay if you care about your playlist that much. But the record labels will still take 95% because they've negotiated, hey, if you raise prices, motherfucker, you're going to pay us more. Like, Spotify doesn't get out of the record labels.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to look at that, because what you're saying is, like, basically they're taking money out of the subscriptions and not based on the plays. So, okay, if they raise the price tomorrow, same amount of views for every single song in month A. In month B, they raise their subscription price by by threefold. Now they're charging $30 a month. You're telling me that the record labels are going to charge a higher percentage on the same amount of views?
Yeah, so when Drake gets 80 million streams a month, and then you, Carlos, get 1 stream a month, they take the $10 that I pay to Spotify, and they proportionally divide it. Let's say $9.95 are going to go to Drake, and you get the 5 cents.
I've gotta look that up.
No, that's how it works. Trust, I've studied it. You can look it up. But
I just want to look it up. I just want to look it up because from how I understand it, they get paid by views or by listens. By every time.
Yeah, that's my point. If Drake gets 80 million listens, he's going to get.
They have a set deal in terms of how much you're going to make per click, per view. And so if I'm charging more for people to have access to my platform, the amount of money that the artist or the record label makes per click is the same.
Yeah, so that would go up. The problem is they wouldn't be able to make a profit still unless they charge an absurd amount, which is that $30. And as soon as I said that, you were like, right? Who's going to pay $30 a month for music?
Well, I mean, look, I'm already paying. I don't even know what my subscription started at. Let's say it was $8.99, then it's $9.99. And then they can tell I've got like my phone, my computer. We have 2 different profiles in the car. And then like my daughter listens to some stuff on it. They can tell based on the viewership that there's 3 people listening to this because they're like, oh, one person only wants to hear shit in Spanish. The other one is a death metal freak. And the other kid loves Peppa Pig. So there's definitely 3 users in this house. And then they'll send me an email and say, hey, for whatever, $4 or $5 more, you can get separate accounts. Yeah. So I'm paying $19.90. Say I pay $19.99 a month. Then at least my wife and I can have separate accounts with our own playlists. So her music doesn't infect my question is just how much of that $20 actually goes to Spotify, and the problem is it's like nothing so far with the profits, right? They're not. Look, I don't know either,
but I think eventually they'll figure it out. I just don't know how.
I think so as well, and it might not happen until like what YouTube did, until YouTube got acquired by a company like Google that can absorb the losses and experiment and bring their own thing to it.
But Daniel Ek doesn't want to sell Spotify, dude. He's a ruthless killer. He doesn't want to sell.
Okay,
Spotify.
well then, the risk becomes you're the Yahoo of the music industry. Like Google offered a ridiculous amount of money to buy them. They said no. Or like, no, Groupon. Remember Groupon? Yeah. Groupon was offered $4 billion. They were like, no, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was using Groupons. A year later, nobody was using that shit. And they probably regret that. Although I don't think Spotify is going away. It's actually a really good service. I think everybody needs one, but I'm not signing on to YouTube Premium in my car. I'm not signing into Prime in my car. I'm not using that at the gym. What I'm using is Spotify.
I think if you use Premium, you would use it in the gym, in the car. You would use it everywhere, dude. I use this shit everywhere.
I have it. And to be fair, I have not explored it as much. I really loved iTunes back in the day, and I absolutely hate Apple Music. It is their worst product, and I won't use it. I delete it. I try to get rid of it. I hate it, and they'll never get me out of Spotify. Yeah. Just for the user interface.
So would you pay $30 a month if Spotify said 30?
It depends. If they said to me, hey, $30 a month for, your 2 accounts or 3 accounts, yeah, I'd probably do that because it doesn't matter to them. Like if I'm paying $30 a month, that's $30 a month to their bottom line, right? It's in other words, it makes more sense for them to give me the deal and have 3 accounts in my own home because my wife is still going to listen to it as much as she does, and I'm still going to listen to mine as much as I do. We're literally just paying the money so we can have our feed separate and the algorithm treat us differently. Because right now it's all jumbled up. You know what I mean? Like I'm rocking out, and then all of a sudden this dude starts serenading me in Spanish, and then I got Bluey talking about the solar system, and I'm like, nah, man, we just need all that.
Yeah, YouTube raised prices the other day. That it went from $11.99 to like $13. Yeah, and I was just like, these fuckers. But I'm gonna pay it. But if YouTube gets to $20, $25 a month, I'm just.
They will. The thing is, they will, dude, and you will pay it because everyone else is going to be comparable. And what are you going to do? You're just going to cut yourself out.
What I'm going to do, honestly, I'm going to start reading books for my entertainment.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to start reading books. There's a bunch of books downstairs I haven't read in years. I'm tired of YouTube and videos. I'm just going to read books. That's it.
Good luck at doing that at the gym.
Yeah, I'll read a book at a gym, and I'll look pretty hot reading a book at a gym.
You might need a Vision Pro. Do that.
That solves
it. You might need a Vision Pro. All right, I gotta go.
All right, this is awesome. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for PayPal earnings, 9 p.m. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Good night. Bye, everybody.